Okay.
This recording is for when Minister Imogen has been kindly requested, invited to come to their court, the administrative court, and what ammunition it is that you've already got to shoot all this down in flames with, and how to apply it really. So Minister Imogen, in this instance, has got a council tax liability. So let's just examine that as a claim in itself to start with, before we get into the adding to the administration that they've added to it with the COVID and things like that. Now, Minister Imogen is a legal entity that they haven't got the right of use of. So instead of you being the one that is going to the court using something that is copyrighted by them, you are going to the court wanting to know who it is who has granted the right of use to this court of the legal fiction, Minister Imogen. You've got them doing the thing, the one thing that turns our soul, let's say, or our energy or whatever it is that we are, into consenting to fraud and committing fraud on our souls by picking up something and saying this is mine, such as the legal fiction, and I am standing surety to it. Now, what the assignment of consent, that red paper, says is that all that you are implied to be crediting to their legal fiction has been assigned unto another, in abbreviated commas, title. It's actually a quiet title. It means that claims cannot be made against it. So now you've got them claiming against themselves because their system is dependent on people picking up and using something that they haven't got the right of use of. If that system that only exists because of somebody picking up something they don't have the right of use of and using it and claiming it as theirs, they've just destroyed their own standing because they are using Minister Imogen. And we saw this obviously when they tried to use it in the previous attempts, even listed Minister Imogen on their court serve website and their listings inside their court listings. Now, from what has already materialized, manifest, since people have been doing this, we know that all it takes is somebody to appear at the court anyway. And that's why they've added to the administration of it and used COVID. So here we've got now another false claim. So, okay, we're at the gate now. We're at the door of the venue that's being squatted by these interlopers. And the security guard standing there, this case is supposed to have been done by TVP Link because they don't want anybody to attend. So up rocks Minister Imogen with the assignment of consent, obviously, by claiming I'm Minister Imogen. That quietens the presumptions that they have to make that you were claiming anything that belongs to them. They know that Minister Imogen doesn't belong to them. They know that they can't use it. And in fact, they've already issued a GCRO, a General Civil Restraining Order, against Minister Imogen. So now you've got the two parts of this administrative system competing against itself. One of them is using something, the council and the magistrates court, or Cassandra courts, our kangaroo courts, are using the legal fiction to lay a claim under the title of Minister Imogen, while the administrative courts say that you can't use Minister Imogen in claims. And anybody, this restraining order prevents anybody using Minister Imogen. But so now you've got the General Civil Restraining Order rebutting the presumption that Minister Imogen can have claims laid against it. So then up rocks Minister Imogen with the liability, the assignment of consent, the liability of the council tax there, the summons. Oh, you called. Did you want an offer of settlement? I'm here to make an offer of settlement. First of all, I'm here to find out who it is who has granted this venue, this corporation, the right of use of the legal fiction Minister M. Venn. Doesn't belong to the Crown Corporation. They can't use it. And not only can they not use it, and you've used it, you have then implied that nobody can come here to question you about it using COVID. And so here, at this point, we're pulling out Charlie Oscar 01 1813 2021 and Charlie Oscar 018 14 2021, which is dated the 10th of June. The video for this hearing that was heard at supposedly the Queen's Bench on the terms and conditions of us accepting this commercial intercourse with them. This goes right back to a case in May, which is HN Oscar 0P122, and that is the Hillston Park. In order for us to be able to initiate all of this building of this destruction, if you like, of their own self-destruct, mirror image of what it was that they were doing, we took what it was that they were saying. So at this point here in May, the administrative courts denounced civil code and commercial code as being pseudo law. We agreed with them. We agree it is pseudo law. So if it is pseudo law, then you've just diminished yourself and dissolved yourself, because that's what you are implying, that you got your standing from, your authority came from pseudo law. And now when somebody's done it back to you, you're saying that Uniform Commercial Code is pseudo law. And so in doing so, you've openly determined that everything that you have implied your standing from, you just dissolved it, leaving you with no authority to stand. So what happened at that point after we did the restoration of rights at Hillston Park? That then gave us the opportunity to be able to arrest any police officers, the armed mercenaries that had been employed, that actually bought the eviction order that had been made off the back of this order. But right at the beginning of this, we put this organisation on notice and said, if you initiate any TVP links, you will be accepting to be entering into the jurisdiction of universal law, and you will be giving evidence as witnesses inside the jurisdiction of the Ministry of Remedy hearing. Now, when they clicked that link, Justice Stein and agents thereof became witnesses in the Ministry of Remedies court. And you can see the video, they took it off YouTube, of course. You can see the video where Justice Stein openly declares that, just to give you the backstory, 10 MVNs arrested the police. The police obviously took 50 of their buddies and arrested the MVNs. 2 of them out of the 10 did not use the legal fiction, no matter what. And over 28 days, they had to be released because there was no evidence to prove that what the court and the Monmouthshire County Council had done was lawful or legal. There was no evidence of that. They had to let them go. But instead of letting them go, they said, even though we can't hold you for anything, there's no charges because we haven't got any evidence that you were actually breaking the law, because really the police were impersonating police officers because they were forcing commercial code, dressed up as police officers, and so you had the right to arrest them lawfully, to uphold and prevent the crime from being enacted. So at that point, you had to let them go. And they rolled out COVID then and said, well, now because you've been in here and you won't have the rapid test, we're going to keep you for 14 days. That was on the 10th day in. They'd said that. Now, sorry, the 14th day in. Now, when so we obviously changed the habeas corpus then to include COVID, because the magistrates court or whoever it was, we don't know, to this day we don't know who it was who determined that COVID was grounds for keeping these 2 events. By the time the habeas corpus got into a position where it was supposedly being heard on the 10th of June, they were already released, the two events. And one of the events attended the court by TVP Link. Some of the events attended the court embodied. And we got Justice Stein to openly declare, and the video is now on the website under undocumented. Click the more button, and you can see Justice Stein being grilled really as to where is the contract. You will hear all of that. The most important part of all of this is that she states that we'd like to lay a general restraining order against Universal Law and Minister McVen, but we don't know who to lay the claim against. And she also transcribes that into an order. And then she states that the burden of proof is too great to prove that coronavirus exists in order to use it in claims. Now, we agree. I mean, you can hear me saying to them, we're more than happy to accept the burden of proof. We'll all take our passports and we'll all go to the port. And, or better still, actually not even take your passport, because it's not just coronavirus that's unlawfully incarcerating you. Your legal fiction is what is actually unlawfully incarcerating you. And we'll go to the ports and we'll expect to get on the plane without any of this adding to the administration of the law, under the stealing of the rights of the people through COVID. We're quite happy to do that. Obviously, at this point, we've decided to shut my microphone off. Now, but you'll hear that in the video. Listen carefully. She clearly states that the burden of proof is too great in order for you to use it in claims that COVID exists. Now, from the back of that, you'll see a video where the same police officers at CS Gaston assaulted the guys, the M events, the original M events, were the same police force that were outside of court, where one of the M events who had joined it was due to appear. It's under Minister McVen 128, arrest the police. And you'll see the difference now. Minister McVen 128 is now, and the rest of the community, are being prevented from entering the court while the police stand there and use COVID. COVID, obviously, so now you're in contempt of your own court order, because Justice Stein on the 10th of June states that you cannot use COVID in claims, and now here you are. So on whose authority are you now acting? You can't be acting on the administrative courts, because the administrative courts have determined that you can't use COVID, yet here you are, now you're in contempt of your own court, and you can go straight to prison, can't you? If you're in contempt of court, a penal order is normally executed for your immediate detention at a secured unit. Now, we can't have people going around and ignoring court orders, can we? You've spent all your policemen. You've been kicking people out of their houses from, God knows, from 1989 for fake death, saying that you've got an order, you're just following orders. And now you're saying that we've got an order here to show you that you're Justice Stein stated that you can't use COVID, yet here you are using it. Now you're in contempt of yourself. So either get out of my way and let us by, or I'm going to arrest you. And that's what you'll see happen there. And so the Minister McVen goes to arrest the police for the second time, and they actually go and secure themselves inside the court, and nothing happened. There was no court case to be had, because they couldn't, at that point, they then went later and said that nobody had attended. Oh, hang on, I've got a video here. We attended, you were in contempt of your own court, so what court was it that you were expected us to attend that you were all in contempt of anyway? Well, I mean, we show us a court, a proper court of law, or show us this. And of course, we're going to be in contempt of somebody impersonating the law. Everybody should be in contempt of the legal system because it impersonates the law. We're running around following the orders. So here you've now got the actual head of the snake determining that the claim that we've been making that kept these people incarcerated, not just in this prison, but in their homes and in their geographical, non-geographical states that we've claimed jurisdiction of, through you all consenting to it through using legal fiction, in the beginning. Now we've got the whole packet back at them. There is the administrative court using legal fiction, hasn't got the right of use of, there's no assignment of consent, there's no equitable rights now, back in the legal fiction. The Minister McVeigh is a real, if it can be one, legal fiction, has no equitable rights. It's got nothing that you can define by Vatican definition. Where is it now? In another dimension, in another realm. And it means that it keeps you out of committing the fraud on your soul. It quietens the presumptions that there can be any claims made against you, or that you are making any claims against anything else that you don't have the right of use of. So what you've done there is fed it all back to them. Now, if you, so we're at the door now, so we've got an Emma Venn on who we're going to do a bit of role play with. They've turned around and said, obviously, we want to do it by TVP link because, like I just said, if the body turns up at the court, it rebuts the presumption. They can't pretend that there's just legal fiction. It's just rubber stamping paperwork. And so that's why, obviously, they want to turn it into a pixel on the screen. So we're at the court now, got to the door. I'm a security guard, and I say to you, what do you want? What are you doing here?
Well, I'd say, who are you? What's your name? Who are you? You know, I'm the assured party creditor of this court.
Well, I'm a security guard for this court. What are you doing here?
Well, Universal Law Community Trust are the assured party creditors of this court. I've come here to settle a claim.
Okay. It says that it's by TVP link. Well, why have you come?
Whose authority are you acting on?
Okay, so let's go.
Yes, yeah.
Take what I just said there. So always use what it is that they've said in your sentence back at them. So where it says here by TVP link, why have you come? Your question is, why is it by TVP link?
Okay. Why is it by TVP then?
Because of coronavirus. Got to stay at home and keep everybody safe.
Well, I've got oh gosh, Justin Stein has said that like the coronavirus can't be used as an excuse to stop anybody coming in the court. It's not. There's no proof that it exists.
Okay, so you're giving me the what? So what does that mean that you're giving me the what? How does that apply to me?
Order. I've given you the order.
So you've given, and I'm looking at that. Don't forget, I'm a brain dead security guard, right? Who's been drinking fluoride. So I'm just looking at a piece of paper. If I understood what that was, then I would in the first place.
Well, yeah. I say I'm the assured party creditor of this court, and I want to give you. I haven't given you any authority to act.
Right. So let's. He's standing there. He's got his authority from the court, hasn't he? We're taking the building blocks down from his mind.
Yeah.
You've told me that Justice Stein has said that you can't use coronavirus. You haven't told me that. You've just said that she said that. But what does that mean to me?
So you're not up, or you're breaking the law.
It means I'm in contact with my own court, that I'm standing here. Yeah. I'm acting on the authority of. So what it's like the Socratic technique. You're taking this mind on a journey, very simply. Take what it is that they've said to you, that I'm stopping you from coming in here because of coronavirus. And if they don't say that, if they say it's got a TVP link on it, you say, is that because of the coronavirus? And if he said, and obviously he's going to say yes. So it's make an affirmative statement followed by an affirmative question, followed by an affirmative statement, followed by an affirmative question, and you will get him saying no in the end to himself and yes to you.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So let's try again. So you could. I'm saying to you, you can't come in here because of coronavirus.
I can't come in here. Who says I can't come in here?
Me, because it's the law.
Well, according to Justin Stein's order on the, is it the 10th of June?
Yeah.
Sorry. in the coronavirus doesn't exist and you don't, sorry, I've lost it.
Just
And
make it simple.
in contempt of court, is that what you said?
So that, okay, so you've said to me on whose authority, I've said from the courts, it's the law, and you've said, well, actually, you're now in contempt of your own court.
Yeah.
Because that document that I just gave you there is from Justice Stein's court, which is your court, that's the Administrative Court, Queen's Bench Division. And she says that you cannot use coronavirus in claims because the burden of proof that exists is too great a burden to be able to prove. So normally what happens is that people who are in contempt of court orders, they go to prison, don't they? You know
Yeah.
that. You know, you're asking him that.
Yeah.
So what normally happens to people who break court orders? Normally what happens is the police get called and they say that this party is in contempt of this court order. The court order says you can't use COVID, and is trying to force a belief on me that this court has said that you can't use, and now he's in contempt of it. Either I have got to arrest him or you've got to arrest him, and if you don't arrest him, then I'll have to arrest you, Mr. Policeman, for impersonating policeman, because now you're aiding and abetting him in his contempt of your court. So what's going to be? Are you going to get out of my way and let me go into the court and settle this matter once and for all? Or are you going to obstruct me and be in contempt of your own court, which means that this court won't be able to make a claim anyway, because you have diminished it and dissolved it by your very actions here on the doorstep outside. If you're in contempt of it, how can you expect me not to be in contempt of it? How can any of these orders have any value at all or any validity whatsoever if the parties who are saying that they're acting on the authority of hold them in contempt? If you don't uphold this one, how can you come along and say, well, I'm upholding this one? If you don't uphold the order from Justice Stein and say, yes, okay, Justice Stein said can't use coronavirus, very sorry, let you through, then you can't come along tomorrow and say, well, there's an order here from this court that says that I ignored yesterday, but today I'm going to uphold the order from it, can I?
Yeah.
So which is it to be, Mr. Policeman? Are you going to uphold the court order? Or are you going to go and get yourself a job in Tesco's? And so at that point, you've rebutted, think of these as borders in your mind, you've rebutted the presumption that because somebody sent you an email and said, well, we're not accepting people in persons, good, anymore at the court, that's really what's happening. They cannot accept people as being persons in the court anymore, because enough people know that they're not a person. So that's screwed that part of our little game over. So now we can stop you coming in the court, but we can still pretend that you're a person by writing to this person and getting a person to come onto a TVP link and accept a stand surety to our legal fiction. Well, hang on a minute, it doesn't apply to me at that point, does it? So let's say you got through the door now at that point. One way or the other, either the court case is dealt with on the doorstep, you videoed it, you can't say that you didn't come to the court, you did come to the court. And even if they come and try and arrest Minister MV for, we would love that. Please come and try and arrest Minister MV. Hey, Minister MV, you're under arrest and you go to the court. Bloody marvellous. So here we've got them saying, can't use Minister MV to lay a claim against. But over here, we're using Minister MV to lay claims against you with, even though we haven't got the right of use of it, you've completely destroyed their system just by doing these simple steps. Because Minister MV is not one of their legal fictions, it hasn't got a credit file. Anyway, so how can I arrest him? We can't then turn around at a later date when everybody says I'm Minister MV, say, well, Minister MV, you're using a pseudonym. Well, but you used it on the 25th of November. They actually used it. They've used it a few times. And we've already got a document from the Queen's Bench in London saying that they wouldn't accept the first original claim that we filed there for the Hillston case because Minister MV is not a recognised legal fiction. Well, if you can't recognise it, you can't use it. So what are you doing? We can't use it, and so we can't. You're saying we can't use it to lay a claim with. To say these people call Minister Van Ven, let them out of prison because they haven't got a contract with you or your system because they didn't use the name. You can't then turn around and say, "Oh, here we have listed today Minister Van Ven." But that's exactly what they did. And so at that point, what they did is that the general civil restraining order is actually against themselves. That was, and so they stopped using Minister Van Ven. Now these councils, these magistrates' court, we're just at a mopping up process now, mopping up these lingering tentacles, if you like, of this deluded mindset that we've all been suffering from, this hierarchy system. And in fact, they already determined that you can't use that either. Anybody claiming to be a minister is suffering from delusions of grandeur. And we've all gone through all of that recording anyway. So get yourself familiarized with this new programming that you can inflict upon yourself. It comes from an awareness of what the system and how it works, and all of these different revolving credit facilities that you were farmed into worked. And you just stop. That's what secured party creditor is. So I'm not going to go in there really and say I'm the secured party creditor of you and your building. I'm actually a secured party creditor of the rock that you built your building with. It's not the building. It's the right of use of the building that's been secured. So as I haven't granted the right of use of this building to your organisation anyway, I'm not here really at this point to settle a claim. I'm here to establish who is claiming that they've got the right of use to claim against this name. It's a double whammy. They haven't got the right of use of the legal fiction Minister Van Ven. So straight away we're in copyright theft and intellectual property infringement. You're whacking them in every single one of their Vatican ecclesiastical definitions. You smashed them in ecclesiastical because in their hierarchy mindset, a minister is like the prime minister or a minister of religion or minister of law. And so straight away in their hierarchy mindset, they can't deal with you as magistrates anyway. So the assignment of consent of the equitable rights, now you've just smashed trust law, equity law and mercantile law. And we've already got them determining that nobody can stand surety to any other. From the administrative courts in Cardiff, there's an email and a witness statement, whereupon one of the ministers had gone in with the right of use of somebody else's legal fiction. And they were told to stand surety, to use the national insurance account number, to stand surety to the court fees, to discharge the charges for habeas corpus. And they said, you can't stand surety. He has to stand surety to himself. Well, right. Well, we're all standing surety to ourselves. That's what Minister Van Ven says. I don't need to assign all my equitable rights to somebody else to stand surety with for me in my incapacitated mindset to discharge all of the charges that come from the charges of the liabilities that I create from not knowing that. I know that. So if I know that and I only create liabilities through not knowing that, then I'm giving away and signing away my rights because I don't know that, then that bit that they require, which is the assignment of consent, it's not there. They simply haven't got it. So you can't go to the court, like you can't go to the court and say, what are you doing with my court? You made a claim. Like they're trying to get us to say that we're the ones making the claim that an incarceration is unlawful. No, we are countering your unlawful claim that non-victim crime is unlawful, for example. We're not making the claim. The burden of proof lays on the claimant, such as what they tried to send it around to habeas corpus and say, well, we have to prove that we're making the claim that the incarceration is unlawful. We're saying that's not what habeas corpus is. The habeas corpus is to say that the original claimant has not performed the obligation of performance in order to prove their claim is valid in the first place. It's not our job to prove that something is unlawful. If I'm making a claim, it's my job as the claimant to prove that the claim is lawful, first of all. Otherwise, the claim itself is unlawful. And so out comes the next document in your mind now, which is the order from the Ministry of Remedies hearing that was inside the that we took the Queen's Bench into with Sir Win Williams, who exemplified that anything lawful is completely disregarded in the jurisdiction of the legal system, making a determining legal as unlawful. So take your pick out of that wonderful hand that you've got to play there. All I can say is don't show it all at once. And it doesn't matter even if you do, even if you go blah, 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 blah. But it's play the game. You know, this is for you. This is your learning and your experience. Don't go and rush your way through it or go, phew, oh, nothing happened because I didn't go. Go. And you're here to settle. So the offer of settlement is that done by you being there. You've already made the settlement of discharging the liabilities that you would have created if we continued to credit the legal fiction. So by you not turning up there as their legal fiction, immediately the rights are restored. And so at that point, you don't have to get in there. You don't have to go through the door. Let's say you do get through the door. It's a great day if you do. And normally what happens is they withdraw the charges at that point. Anyway, before even with COVID, and before even with all of this ammunition pack that you've got, they had to put up these extra layers of defence because so many people became aware that it would just very simply turn up to the court and demand to see a certificate of participation authority to act as Minister MVM. Where is my assignment of consent to grant you the authority to act on my behalf? Where is the contract that's not created in fraud? I haven't got one. Now we know you haven't got one, so instead of me pissing around with you today and you taking up my time, very simply, all of these charges and all of these levies and all of these liabilities have already been discharged. It's already been done. And that is why they had to manifest the coronavirus laundry pot in place of the legal fiction. So you've got a rebuttal for all of this. Now, let's say you get into the court. Who are you? Well, at this point, I'm pulling out my straw man out of my pocket. Oh no. I'll blow up doll, whatever it is. And I was once creditor of this straw man, effigy, legal fiction, birth certificate, pull it out and throw it into the dock. Now retired. And I'm here by special appearance as the Minister of my own energy and matter in movement. And I want to know, where is your assignment of consent? Now, like we've talked about before, at that point, I haven't given my assignment. I've exemplified that I have got all of the equitable rights. I know what's going on. I'm not on legal fiction, an incapacitated legal minor, therefore not on legal fiction. I haven't laid a claim to something that's not mine. And so I haven't stepped into the administrative jurisdiction yet, which only exists to persecute or prosecute those of us who do such atrocities as lay false claim. So they have got a very, at that point it's dissolved. The legal fiction has been peacefully surrendered in the dock. If you don't get to the dock, leave it with the security guard. It's whatever you feel comfortable about doing. You might not feel comfortable about going and arresting the police. If you don't feel comfortable about that, throw the legal fiction at them and the document, and just all charges are discharged and walk off. They're all they've discharged. They have discharged themselves of the authority to issue charges against you at that point. So they stop you going in there. It's done. And make sure you record it, because like I said, then obviously you can't turn around and say that nobody came. Okay, So how can I'm the same thing that came to the court, and you said that I can't go in there. And so now, so you're saying that nobody came as Minister Emma Venn, but now I'm walking down the street and I'm in my house and you come to my door and grab me and say, hey, I'm Minister Emma Venn. But you didn't recognise me at the court as Minister Emma Venn, but hey, presto, you can recognise me as Minister Emma Venn in my house or walking down the street. If we want this system, the minute that it arrests somebody as Minister Emma Venn, it's finished. And that's why they dropped them like the hot potatoes when they used Minister Emma Venn and they stuck to their guns. And the same thing that we've seen with ESUS. He will not commit the fraud on his soul. And so and in doing so, and him standing on all of that he's learnt and not giving in and not making a deal with the guy that clamped his car or doing anything other than the steps, it took him to arresting the judge and exemplifying that. What he hadn't done, unfortunately, in the background was tie up all of these loose bits, these revolving credit facilities. So there was still a presumption that at that address was the legal fiction. And so I can base my presumption, because I'm great at that, I'm a policeman. I am an agent of presumption, and I can presume that the council tax that's still in the name of the dead Vatican debt slave title. Now, if you go back to that property, you're accepting the benefit of the right of use if you haven't assigned your right of use into your trust. If you've left any doors open for them, guarantee that they'll use it, because that is an exemplification of the door of your unsecured mind. And so we're going to do an interview with Sasha Stone in the next couple of days, explaining these definitions. They're not UCC definitions. Go and write your own glossary. So do you want me to, have you got any questions that you think somebody might ask?
Yeah, just with me, I wouldn't, I feel comfortable even arresting, but I don't feel I've exemplified everything what I've done and what I'm supposed to do.
Then you won't, then you can't be all quite well saying that. Who knows what your definition of comfortable is? Everybody's different.
Like, yeah, I'm all for it.
When I say I feel comfortable about arresting somebody, but I know that I might not have done all of these steps in the background, then your definition of comfortable is not enough. It's more like
sorry, you put out for about 10-15 seconds.
It's like stepping out. It's like making 10 steps. You're stepping out from one cliff, and you haven't put the steps in place to make these little steps, to make the big steps smaller, if you like.
Yeah.
And so that's why you're calling me now. If you felt comfortable about doing that, you wouldn't be ringing me and saying, what do we do?
Yeah.
So we've got to be honest with ourselves, okay? And these things that we've set out here to go, and what is it that's outstanding? I'm going to stop recording. So let's just close this up. If so, the steps are all of the utilities are Minister Emma Venn's name. The tenancy agreement, I've got a tenancy agreement for the right of use of my property from the trust into Minister Emma Venn's name. I've got my warranty card, and I've got no charges outstanding at the property. My car has been assigned into the trust. There's a new process now because they'd put our ULCT plates up and marked them as stolen. So there's a new process that we're not disclosing on here. And as long as you've gone through all of those things, then go to the court as Minister Emma Venn. If you haven't done any of those things, the other option that you've got is to ask Emma Venn to go with you. And so we actually did this in a court to show there's different ways of being able to do this. And the guy who they'd calling the legal fiction, and they'd arrested him, well, he'd arrested a load of police, and then they'd arrested him, and then they'd put this in Greece. And they brought him in for a special court on a Saturday, and I'm standing there, and they're using his name. And I said, you can't use that name. All of the equitable rights have been assigned to me. He hasn't got the right of use of that name. That the title belongs to you. And I am the holder of the equitable rights. Bring forth a proof of claim and I'll discharge the charges with them. I will do your job, what you're supposed to be doing for this man. And so they said, did you give your rights to this woman? And he said, yes. And pointed at me, I gave my rights to this woman. She's screaming, the judge now, why didn't you say this to us before? And threw him out. On handcuffed him, threw him out of the court. So that's all you need to do, because the minute that somebody, so you can go in there, Minister O'Meven, I've got another idea, which is that they've already got Minister O'Meven inside the prison at the moment. And ESUS is standing surety to every legal fiction. Now, you've called Minister O'Meven, so here we go. We've got another one. We've got I'm going to call them today and say, look, you've made a claim against Minister O'Meven. I'm obliged to inform you that Minister O'Meven is being unlawfully incarcerated, God knows where, by God knows who. And so you can't attend the court. And here's a GCRO that says that you can't use Minister O'Meven in claims, in litigation. So what are you doing? And we actually did this, not using ESUS as collateral, but really, at the moment, he's subrogated himself for all of you. Anybody who's got a charge in Minister O'Meven's name, there is one being at the moment who is already unlawfully incarcerated to exemplify this for the rest of you. He's blasted the Mental Health Act open with it. He's blasted legal, being lawful, all of it. The hierarchy grandiose system from ecclesiastical down. And all you need to do, if you've got a charge coming up and you've done your steps, you've done the step that a lot of people haven't done, which is to put those charges into Minister O'Meven's name. And immediately it stops. It's up to you if you want to go and you want to do something about it. But at the point where, what is it I'm going to do? Oh, I'm going to go and invest my energy in. If I'm going to go and exemplify it as a demonstration of what the universal law looks like, right in these hotspots of fraud, then go and do it. You know they can't arrest you as Minister O'Meven. And if they can't arrest you as Minister O'Meven, because Minister O'Meven really is a legal fiction, then who are they going to go and arrest for not paying the council tax at your address? You've given them an empty credit file. So at that point, the only thing I'm going there to do really is to make everybody's hair stand up by the fact that I know the law enough to exemplify me arresting this individual for contempt of court on behalf of Stein. You can't know that, you know, these people are in contempt of court, can you, Mr. Officer? And not do anything about it and tell me tomorrow that you're following orders when you come to my house or one of my friends' houses to help the bailiffs kick their doors in. You're following orders. You can't not follow this order, but follow that order tomorrow, can you? An order's an order, right? You're used to following orders. Here's one for you. You can't use coronavirus, and anybody using it is in contempt of court. That's it.